I love to dance, and you won't believe how I met my husband. We were line dancing. And he decided that he wanted to take ballroom dance classes because he knew I loved to dance. And we went every Saturday night dancing. We took classes for 10 years. He wasn't the world's best dancer, but he learned all the steps. And he was happy about that.
After I got married, I moved to Moon Township when there was nothing there. It was all, farmland, and the college property had cows on it and so on and so forth. And then I raised my kids, and I always said, when I advertised my house, I said, your kids can walk from kindergarten to college.
Well, person-centered care is all about organizing the care that's provided and support that's provided in long-term care settings, and also out in the community, anywhere really, around the needs of the individual and the preferences of the individual. It's about treating, in the case of nursing homes, treating it as a true home where an individual lives and has dignity and choice and is highly involved in their own care. Quality of life is our own quality of life in our home is our own self-direction over doing what we want to do in our home. It is our home, and being able again to eat when we want to eat and do the things that are meaningful activities in our life. And person-directed care makes that possible by really knowing the person, really knowing the person across different care settings. So even when you do have to be transferred to a hospital for something that isn't preventable, there's some knowledge of who you are. The nursing home is really the marriage of a hospital and a poorhouse, and they got together and had a baby, and it was the nursing home. Historically, that's really what our culture's been in this country in terms of nursing homes. And that's changing. It's not changing fast enough, but it's certainly changed a fair amount in the last decade in terms of the awareness of it. And now we have to sustain it. We have to deepen the learning and the practices within each of these communities.
Well, I didn't want to be here, of course, like everybody else, but I knew that I had to be here. I couldn't go home. I needed a lot of help. I was very ill when I came, but with the TLC and they have a wonderful therapy program, and they work with you, and I finally was able to move around a little bit and got my voice back, and so it's been a long period of time, but I'm making it.
90% or 95% of Americans wouldn't want to move to a nursing home. They want to live in their own homes. Well, the reality is we have a lot of social isolation that exists out there. We have a lot of people that are lonely and vulnerable in their communities, and just because they're not in a nursing home, they don't necessarily have a higher quality of life alone. And so we're at a community level really trying to say, well, look around us. We're growing older every day, and that's a good thing. Aging is a good thing because consider the alternative, of course. But it is really about the asset approach to aging and the individuals who live with talents and skills and something something to give in their life, and really how do we build them into the fabric of what's happening out there around the healthcare system, and that is really where it's about getting healthier.
What I enjoy most here is the singing programs. They have a lot of nice singing therapy. And we have a young lady, her name's Bridget Sutton, and she's very good with all of us. We don't have voices, but she somehow manages to get us together. We're doing a nice concert over at the Mother House. I don't know what the occasion is, but they're going to try to get us over there. We're not the Mendelssohn Choir by any means, but we do have a good time singing.
The neighborhoods were established. They were formerly called units. It's a part of culture change is the reason why we call them neighborhoods now, just trying to make the facility more home-like for our residents, and that is part of our culture change is to call them neighborhoods instead of units. And actually each hall that we have in each neighborhood, they kind of have named them after a street, like First Avenue or Second Avenue.
It's also about the direct caregivers, the care partners, really partnering with the elders and persons living with disabilities to support them. So it's about organizing the care and support better to reflect that the folks who are doing 85% of the hands-on care have some say in how that care is organized, and so it involves lots of different moving parts in an organization, a lot of moving from a very hierarchical organization to a leveler organization that is high involvement, where the direct care partners have a say again in their scheduling and in who they're supporting, have a real say in what they see as the needs and life of the people who live in that home.
December, as my role in a nurse manager position, I am responsible for one neighborhood, to run that neighborhood, to manage that neighborhood actually. I do have charge nurses and certified nurses assistants working under me, and I am responsible just to make sure that the residents are getting the care that they need. Also to make sure that staffing is appropriate for the residents as well.
There's so much to learn from these long-term care organizations that have made this transformation and are really understanding what it takes to invest in the workers in the right ways in terms of their training, what it takes to invest in the leadership of these organizations to make the leap, because it's, nursing homes typically, they operate often in kind of a crisis mode. They are worried about being the state coming in and giving them citations and what have you. So traditionally, they focused on a lot of the indicators that the state looks at when they come in, which are not necessarily historically been interpreted to be around quality of life, which is what we want, right? We want these individuals who happen to be living here to get good medical care and nursing care when they need it, but really to be able to live their own lives, to have access to the broader community, to go out and to really be connected in relationship with individuals in the community and their families and everybody else.
They don't force you to do anything. And maybe twice a month they take you out to a different restaurant, or to a play, and it gets you out, so that's nice.
The way the residents influence the way we deliver nursing care is, some of them don't have a lot of family, some of them have a lot of family that come here. They're just so pleasant, and we want to do whatever we can for them. We want to live out Villa St. Joseph mission for them, providing compassionate care.
Individuals matter. It sounds cliche, but it really, healthcare, it hasn't always been that way. And it's not that way in too many settings. And so really our own philosophy here at Robert Morris in terms of what we try to do and changing individual lives, there's real power in that for healthcare professionals and everybody working in healthcare to really step back and say, what are we doing here? Why do we have nurses spending all their time in front of a computer filling out charts, checking boxes off an electronic health record, when maybe they don't have to do it that way? They still need to do the assessment and get the information, but there are new ways with mobile apps and new ways of really approaching things that allow us to keep the person at the center of what we're doing.
When they come in, we have a history and we have a physical that we go by. We get input from the families as to their likes and dislikes, what they can and cannot do. We assess them as well, and we have therapy look at them as well, and just determine what's going to be the safest pathway of care for them and what they might need at that time.
We live in a region where we need to be healthier. We have to have healthier behaviors. We have too much obesity and smoking, and we also have a very costly hospital-centric system where it's an artifact of time and lots of other incentives. But I think individuals, leaders in the region understand that we have to transition from that. We have to support people in the community more and prevent hospitalizations when we can, and really change the model of medicine and healthcare away from a sickness system to a health wellness system.
The residents receiving continuity of care, I think, is a huge bonus here because we do have consistent assignments. That means that we have CNAs, a different number of CNAs on each shift, and they stay in that assignment. They work with those residents day in and day out. That way it provides a routine for the residents as well as the staff. So that way if something changes with that resident, if there's something not quite right with that resident, that person who's in that assignment every day will know about that resident, and they know what to do for that resident as far as letting the nurse know.
And my doctor comes once a month here. And if you need to know anything, the nurses are glad to help you, and you have access to your medical records. So there really isn't anything that you have to know, that they tell you everything.
We get to know them. We get to know their likes and dislikes. We get to know what they did in their in their history, what they did as a career. We get to know their families as well. They do have families. Some of them have families that visit almost every day. So we get to know them as well, and they are an integral part of that care that we give them. We even have some staff members who come in, they bring their children here to visit the residents. And we have different events here where staff are able to bring their families or their children, and they kind of spend time with the residents. We even, this is wonderful, we have some staff members who will come in on their day off and take some of the residents out for a meal or a picnic or something like that. So they become very close with the residents here.
The people are so nice and so pleasant, make you feel welcome. The administrators are all friendly. So I've enjoyed being here.
They're so good to me, and I'm good to them too. I don't demand too much, and they're always there when you need them.
How do you establish maybe friendships with them? How do you get along with those people? How do you go about getting to know them?
Well, you see them every day. You usually have the same ones every day, and you get to know them, and they talk to you about their families, and you talk to them about your family. And lots of times they come and sit in my room for advice, the young girls, and I just love them all.
The spread of innovation in long-term care has been slow, but it is accelerating. And there are organizations and there's a whole movement around, it's a culture change movement, people call it, of really pioneers who are out there doing things differently. And it's grown to where we have state coalitions, where I'm a board member of the Pennsylvania Culture Change Coalition. We have lots more community partners that are aware of these different ways of doing things, and that's what we're working on now, is how do we educate the hospital systems, the rest of the healthcare system to what's innovative in long-term care. And it sounds, people don't typically think of long-term care as being in any way necessarily innovative. They don't really want to think about nursing homes and long-term care, but there are new models, a greenhouse model, where we are going to be having our first greenhouse in the region here. There's about 125 of those operating around the country, and that's a small house model. So you take an institutional 60, 80 bed nursing home, and you tear it down, or somewhere else you build small 10, 12 person households where the individuals who are providing the hands-on care support are also doing the light housekeeping. They're doing the cooking. The elders themselves who live there are involved in the cooking to the extent they're able. Everybody eats together around a big table at the same time. It's a household, and the people who run the household are the people who live in the household and really work there day in and day out.
The education process for the newer CNAs, we do have a program, a CNA class that we run here at the Villa St. Joseph, and they can get certified to be a certified nurse's assistant. They go through that class with our director of education, and from there they come onto the floor and they kind of shadow some of the CNAs who have been here. And some of those CNAs are a part of our LEAP program, and LEAP does stand for Learn, Empower, Achieve, and Produce, which means they mentor newer CNAs, and they kind of train them on the floor and shadow them, and that way the new CNAs coming in will know what to do when they're shadowing the mentors.
When they don't have to happen. But embedded within that are all the organizational practices that go into good quality care. So for instance, around the end-of-life conversations, there's something called the Physician's Orders for End-of-Life Treatment, POLST. And it is, the Interact is about having those end-of-life conversations early on when the person moves into the community. So again, there's this relationship to draw on. And then it goes from, okay, well, we have organized ourselves to pay attention to sort of changes in condition very, very sensitively, and very proactively, to not kind of let issues progress and people get sicker and default to having to go into the hospital. So it is all about a better quality of life for these individuals living in the nursing homes. And again, it's not just for nursing homes. It's been developed for assisted living residences, for home care agencies. And we think, by training nurses and nursing assistants and health service administrators on all that's involved in this broader Interact Quality Improvement Program, they'll be prepared to work in all of those settings. And if we can all get on the same page about that process, about making sure information is transferred in the right way between organizations, this continuity of care issue, if we can get on the right page about the skills that are needed to create this high involvement organization where these aides and these activity professionals and these family members can actually have some say in sort of catching problems before they progress, we can do a lot of good things. We can really, we're building almost the software to act appropriately in the community around healthcare needs and everything else. The mobile health, they call it mHealth, it's the new frontier, particularly around in healthcare, because healthcare is so siloized in terms of its health IT, and that even within an organization you have different information systems that don't always talk with one another. To be integrated into the care delivery system and to healthcare professionals, and have information be fed back and really kind of get this sense where you're in charge of your own health, and you have a mobile sort of tool to do that, and your healthcare provider can partner with you on that. It's really exciting, because we know through behavioral economics, there are principles of like what makes people change their behavior, and you have to there's gamification and in terms of social health. We know that people who are the same way diseases spread is the same way good things spread in social networks, right? And there's real power there to get healthier, to support one another in a social way to do it, and use the technology to do that. But healthcare is, again, 1/7 of the economy, and only 3% of hospitals have a branded app experience at this moment for their consumers. And that's just on the consumer side. Very few of them are using mobile apps to integrate their existing data streams and different clinical information systems. And so it's really the next frontier for getting it right. And it may be our one opportunity to integrate a lot of these systems into a mobile experience and engage the person in that, the consumer, in creative ways, and sort of really, and whole neighborhoods, whole communities to really understand what makes a neighborhood age-friendly here. How do we change what we see around us to be more friendly to people of all ages, but in particular, especially in our region with our high population of elders, how do we structure our neighborhoods and work together to make things more age-friendly?
Seeing this place over everyone else's, there's just no comparison. The villa here is very, very special. They take good care of me, and so I guess this is where I'll spend the rest of the time.
The reason why I got into the profession of nursing, and this is personal for me, I have a husband who suffers from sickle cell disease, and just seeing the care that he has gotten over the years in the hospitals and from the nurses, very caring nurses, made me want to become a nurse. And I just think it's my calling. I think it's what I'm supposed to do, and that's why I became a nurse, so that I would, help take care of him and also take care of other people.